I have my copy too.
I'm excited to hear you read, Holly. Years ago, like 25 years ago, I had a friend who almost every time I would see him would say, "You would like Holly Day. Have you read her? You would like her so much." I don't know what it was about me that he was like insistent that I would enjoy you. So I'm excited to hear you.
Oh, well, I hope you're not disappointed. Oh, yeah, I don't do very many of these, so I will try my best.
Well, that makes me appreciate this even more, Holly. And it's still like after a year of not doing this podcast, but doing readings online, I'm still not used to it.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I was teaching a class this morning and I was watching the video of it afterwards, and it's like, I do so many things with my hands, and I look down at my lap too much, and I talk too fast or too slow. So just to prepare everybody.
Yeah.
We're our own worst critics.
Yeah.
I really appreciate that you remembered that we were doing this, because like I don't know, like the isolation of all this had me like down for the last week or so. So I really should have. I've been promoting it, but I didn't get back to you, and feel bad about that. But
Well, I have a date book I write everything down on, so I had it remembered.
yeah, I've got like 15 date books scattered around this place, but I tend to remember everything, even if it's last minute. So
Yeah. No, I don't know. I think right now I think a lot of people are kind of down. You know, it's like it's summer's coming. We're not still completely out of quarantine. It's just too much stuff building up.
yeah, I mean, thank God the first weekend in May, we'll be eating fried chicken in Little Rock, Arkansas. So
Oh, that sounds like fun.
yeah, it's keeping me going. So
Yeah. Yeah. I had so many trips canceled this past year. It's just sad.
yeah, I mean, Victor and I, we travel together all the time, and we had to cancel a lot of things. I'm hopeful. I want to go back and read in Toledo in the fall, and I'm hopeful that we can do that. And I would like to do it outside. That way we can actually be around people. Um, and Carrie, I was going to talk to Johnny about that like next week sometime and see if that's plausible by the middle of October.
Yeah, it should still be warm enough in October, I would think.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
That's normally when we come in.
Right.
So that would be cool. I'm sure there's
Yeah.
some sort of outdoor venue. I remember, did you read with me when we read at the West Toledo Library?
Yes. Yeah.
Because I remember we kind of got rained out, and
Yeah. We ended up going
because
inside.
I think we were going to do that outside.
Mhm. Yeah, there's a club on Phillips. It's called The Trunk. And
Oh, I
they
know
do,
that place.
okay, yeah, they had an indoor series, but she had added, Stormy, before she passed away, had helped add on a big deck situation on the back of the building, an outdoor with like a fire pit and seating and stuff. So that could potentially work too.
Cool. I'm willing to try just about anything, because that's the only reading this year in person I really expect to keep. I don't think it's going to get any better than that, but
Yeah, we had a bookstore here that was going to start having readings on top of their roof a couple of months ago. They just wanted to do it so bad, but it was like 15 degrees out and nobody wanted to sit on the roof in 15-degree weather on little folding chairs. But we just have such a short period of time you can do any outdoor things like that.
Right.
well, you let me know, Holly, because I still want to read with you, and I will come there when it's 15 degrees.
Ah, well, I have a bookstore that will let me do readings pretty much any time. So and they get a really nice crowd too. So anytime you want to come out to Minneapolis, they'll do it.
That's cool. Yeah, I'm committed. Like I don't care if it's 15 degrees. Let's go. So,
Yeah,
but I'm,
it's not so bad. It's when you get down to like -22, -25, -40.
I
That's when
agree.
it sucks.
I agree. Where I'm around close to the Ozark Mountains here, and 20 is not so bad. I mean, I grew up in the hills of Pittsburgh, and it's, you know, but we had a big storm here where it was, I don't know how many degrees below zero, and my pipes froze, and that was a bit too much. But
Oh no, we had a lovely winter. We had a couple of -12-degree days, and other than that, it was really nice. Kind of sucked to be stuck inside with it. It's like road trip weather and things.
well, I'm sure you get it much more than we do. I'm actually in the warm part of the state. Um, when I lived in Sheboygan for a while, that you would get the lake effect weather.
Mm, yeah, that's Michigan, right?
No, Wisconsin.
Wisconsin, that's right. Okay. Okay. Yeah, I
There's
didn't pay attention to Wisconsin. No.
I don't know. They're strangely similar in their own way.
Oh, no, you can't say that to someone in Minnesota. We're totally different than Wisconsin.
That's fair. That's fair.
No, they're like our Wisconsin is our slow little brother. And of course, people in Wisconsin think the same thing about Minnesota. And don't get me started on the Packers.
Yeah, I went to a few Packers games when I was in Wisconsin because my landlord had box seats. But I'm not really a fan either way. I just went to go. So
Yeah, I don't really care. It's just that people in Wisconsin, if you say anything mean about the Packers, they just get all riled up. So
yeah, I know there's a big rivalry between the Packers and the Vikings and all that.
yeah, I think Wisconsin takes it more seriously because Packers are a municipal team, so they actually make money if the Packers like make a profit. Vikings are not municipal, so we don't really have any stake with them.
That makes sense.
And
They're sort of like medical marijuana. They're making money for
yeah,
the state. But
yep.
yeah, well, in Toledo, what I loved was minor league sports. Like you had the mud hens and the
Muffins.
walleye. And
Oh
Mhm.
yeah. I think the minor leagues are way more fun than the major leagues.
oh yeah, people still hope for something in the minor leagues. So
Yeah, yeah, and it's cheaper. Like
it
the
is cheaper.
Mhm.
cheaper and take
Well,
fan.
Still great crowds.
Yeah,
yeah,
Mhm.
last time I bought a Mud Hens ticket, which was a while ago, it was like $9.
Mhm. It's like cheaper than a movie.
yeah. If
Yeah,
you go see the Twins here, it's gonna be like 35, $40, and that's ridiculous for a baseball game.
yeah. My mom is obsessed with baseball, but yeah, it's never really been one of my things, so I don't even know how much tickets cost now.
Yeah, yeah. I haven't. I mean, the Twins games used to be like $4 a ticket, so we used to go take the kids and stuff, and it was really fun. But at 45, $50 a ticket, it's just ridiculous. That's
No.
not a family event.
Yeah, that's the equivalent of like going to an amusement park, which you might as well like roll up your sleeve and give them some blood.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yep.
I'm gonna give people like 4 more minutes here and then we'll just get started. And I know that some people are gonna trickle in because I know several people told me they were gonna be here. So
Okay. I contacted a bunch of people too, but you never know on Facebook.
you don't I actually had some people reach out to me personally, so I would hope that they're gonna come in, but I actually get a much bigger audience like post podcast. Like once I put it onto YouTube, we tend to get a lot of views.
Oh, cool. Well, I'll try not to do something so embarrassing that you can't post this.
I really don't know what that would be. So
Ooh.
oh man. So what, Holly, what were you teaching today?
Just a writing for publication class.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
it's nice that they actually had someone teach that has a background in it.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's such a great class to teach because like that's what I do. So it's like I can answer any question that they have or anything like that, as opposed to like, I don't know. Like I've never really felt comfortable with the idea of teaching a poetry class because it's like I like to write poetry, but I don't really know like what goes into it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
But
I do.
but like the basic function of how to put a submission together and send it to a magazine and book proposals and things like that, I can do that. It's like I teach a lot of fiction classes and it's like that's easy, really, like basics of that, but the idea of I don't know how to teach poetry. I don't know what I would say. I would be the kind of person that would put an orange in the middle of a table and tell people, write a poem about this orange. And then I would stomp around and look stern and cross a bunch of times and then say, read your poem now. That's all I could do as far as like teaching a poetry class goes.
I'd take that class. I could do that.
I have an orange handy, but
Oh, yes, the refrigerator is just a font of inspiration. You just open it and it's full of fruit.
oh man. Yeah,
The
tomorrow
first
I'm
poetry class I ever got to, my brother, I went to visit my brother in college and he's had me like drag me around to sit in on his classes with him. I don't know how that was allowed, but he went to Beloit in Wisconsin. And so he had a poetry class that he cared nothing about, but the instructor just played a bunch of random sounds on a tape recorder, like a series, like on a mixtape he made of random sounds, played the sounds for like 15 minutes and then said, okay, write something. And everybody pulled out their notebooks and wrote stuff. And I pulled out a little piece of paper and wrote something. And I was like, this is college? This is awesome. Like, I want to do this. I didn't know you could do this. It was great. So I read about that orange for sure.
Yeah. Well, I think I probably had a couple of teachers that probably taught that way. I don't know if I had anyone pull out an orange or not, but definitely had people put things like put vases on tables and say, what does this make you think about? And then you're supposed to write about the vase. So yeah. I mean, I suppose I could teach a poetry class that way. I just don't want to. I would feel really strange doing it.
yeah, I can't imagine it's easy. I'm not a big fan of like prompts and things like that. I don't know. I just write poems. That's a little too meticulous. So, but
Bob.
hey, Bob. Maybe he might not have his mic on. All right. Well, since Bob's here, I'm going to get started because I don't know how long it will take other people to trickle in. I am going to ask everyone but Holly to turn their mics off. But okay, I'll get through the formal part of this, which is for those who are going to listen to this later. You are listening to OAC Books Presents, which is a product of Osage Arts Community in Bell, Missouri. um, where I have been an artist in residence. Um, Osage Arts Community, if anyone is interested in it, and they are currently taking applications. They do residencies anywhere from 1 week to 1 year, typically. Um, and so this, I've been trying to like do some programming for them, and this is a large part of that. And I'm just kind of getting the hang of it. Um, so I don't know if it feels a little rusty. It's probably me. So, but our guest today is Holly Day. Holly has published numerous books. I wouldn't even pretend to know uh, all of them. Um, she is constantly working on one writing project or another, and she's one of the people that makes me feel lazy, and that is that's a good thing. It keeps you going. Um, my press that I run with Victor Clevenger, who is here with us, River Dog, is publishing Holly's book Bad Luck Banana in May. Because Victor and I just talked about publication date with that. I'm actually, I've got the entire press run of Bad Luck Banana in my garage as we speak. It just needs to be packed up and sent out, which I'll do the next time we're both in one place. Holly, it's good to see you.
You
Uh,
too. And you make me feel lazy when I always see all of the cool things you're doing.
uh, trust me, it's only to not go crazy, really. You have to keep all the balls like juggling in the air. Um, but I had some questions. Like I always do an interview, and that's my favorite part. Because when I lived in Toledo, I was a newspaper reporter for 12 or 13 years. And so I will just start off with that. I wanted to start by asking you, because people ask me this all the time, they ask what my earliest memory is writing a poem, and to talk a little bit about like what that first poem was about and what sparked me really to get started. And I will ask you that same question. Can you remember your first poem?
Yes. Or I mean, one of the earliest ones, probably the earliest one I can remember is being maybe in first grade. And it was Groundhog's Day, and we had to write a poem about groundhogs. And I wrote this long poem about this tragic groundhog that froze to death and how sad everybody was that this groundhog had died. And I showed it to like some of the boys in class, and they thought it was so hilarious and started just laughing and laughing and laughing. And it's like, yes. And the teacher hated, of course, and my mom was it made her sad. But that was the first poem I wrote. It was about this poor sad frozen groundhog.
So when you wrote that poem, was anyone encouraging, and were they like, hey, write more poems?
No, it was I mean, back then it's like I went to a very small country school, so like writing was really emphasized because basically the teacher would give you writing assignments and then just leave you alone for most of the day. So we wrote tons and tons of poems and short stories in class. I think we had 8 kids in our whole class, so she was able to get that kind of attention. It's really a shame because neither of my kids have ever gotten to be in a class of that size and to get that kind of personal one-on-one attention from their teachers. But I imagine we were constantly being encouraged.
I have to imagine that quiet time that they gave you was beneficial.
Yeah, and plus, like, I mean, I grew up in a house with no television. My parents didn't have TV. We lived in the middle of nowhere. We listened to the cartoons on the radio. Like there's a radio station you could actually tune into, and you could listen to cartoon channels on it. So that, or one of the major cartoon stations. So I got used to like listening to TV shows and cartoons on the radio, and then I'd come to school and pretend that I'd gotten to watch them on TV because everyone else had a television. but we always had just like tons and tons of books in the house. And so that's how I spent most of my time, is just reading and writing and hiding from the cold in Nebraska.
Hmm.
That's
So,
my whole childhood.
what when you talk about books that were scattered around your house, what was there that you could remember?
Oh, my parents had every single Conan the Barbarian book.
Oh
We had
wow.
the novels, every single one of them. All of just like my dad would like just go to used bookstores and come home with just like grocery bags full of paperbacks that he'd get for like 10 cents each. And then he
Hmm.
just fill them on the shelf. And it was like, if anyone wants to read these, here you go. So uh read lots of like Ray Bradbury and Harlan Ellison, and tons of just lots of trashy science fiction, and like I said, Conan and Kroll, all of the Howard books, and we also had a friend who had a comic book store in Omaha. So like once every couple of weeks, we'd drive to Omaha, and he would just let me sit there and read comic books all day long while my parents hung out.
That's pretty awesome. Like I know the poetry aspect of your writing, but you talked about like teaching fiction. Um, is fiction something you've written a lot of?
Yeah, yeah. Actually, when I was in college, I won the Isaac Asimov Award for science fiction.
Oh, that's pretty awesome.
I got to go to the World Fantasy Convention and bum cigarettes off of people that were for me to want to talk to. So I just bummed cigarettes off of them because I couldn't figure out any other way to talk to them.
Oh, that's pretty great. Yeah, I like a lot of people tried my hand at fiction, but my fiction was terrible. So let's see here. Um, so like you've been writing a long time, and I think in order to keep it going for that amount of time, like um, you have to have some sort of routine. At least I have routine.
Gosh.
Could you talk a little bit about like, because writing is or can be such an isolated thing. Can you talk a little bit about what keeps you going and your process and your routine?
Yeah, I mean, I'm, well, I've been writing freelance for, I mean, I haven't done anything except just writing for 26 years now.
That's fantastic.
So yeah, yeah, I have a really rigid routine. I get up first thing in the morning, and I'll do like an hour of market research, and then I do like an hour of submitting to my material to magazines, and by the time I've done that hour of submitting, it's like I'm wide awake finally, and I've had half a pot of coffee or whatever. And then I just sit and I write. I'll try to do like an hour of fiction, and then I'll do an hour of poetry, and then I'll do an hour of editing, and I just do that back and forth through the day. So yeah, no, I have whiteboards all over my office saying how many poems I need to write in every month, and how many pages I need to edit every month, and it's really ridiculous looking. It's not inspirational at all. It's it's like, this is an office.
Yeah, I can feel that because people always ask me like, they expect some big inspiring story, but I haven't had a regular job since 2002. And it's really, it's not that you clock in and that's what it is, and it's still enjoyable.
Yeah, well, I mean, see like those ads and stuff where it's like, be a freelance writer and you can sit on the beach and do your work. And it's like, no, you can't. You got to sit at your desk and you got to make yourself work. You can't sit at the beach and look at the waves and drink a martini and get anything done. That's not going to happen. And
No.
it's like, my office is in this damp basement with one window, and
Huh.
but that's where I have to work.
So much glamour. you know
Oh yeah.
oh man. I was talking to someone the other day, and for me, like writing is a lot like periods that a painter would have, and you go through a lot of changes. Can you talk to me a little bit about like how your work has changed over the years?
Yeah, it's kind of weird because I never noticed it happening, but then I'll like go through old poems and it's like, wow, for years I wrote really short stuff. And then it's like, then I went through really a period of writing really long stuff. And then it went back to being short. And now I'm kind of in a really loquacious long period again. I don't even realize it's happening. It's just when I go over the stuff, it's like, wow, everything's this size during this period. Is that what you mean by changes? That's about
A
the thing
little,
that I really notice.
a little bit. Years ago, I was writing pieces that I would consider like kind of pop culture non sequiturs, and then the work became more autobiographical, and so that's sort of what I mean. Like conceptual. Yes.
Yeah. Almost everything I write is sort of autobiographical because it's kind of, I mean, it's poetry, so it's what I'm thinking. So I don't know. I'm old, so I don't really change that anymore.
Yeah, you're not that old, but
I'm turning 50 in 2 months.
oh man. Yeah. No, I used to think that was old, but not anymore.
You're just being nice.
I don't know. We aren't that far apart, so. So what are you like? I know it changes day to day because you're working every day, but is there what are you working on right now? Do you have a big project?
Um, oh, I don't know. At the beginning of COVID, I started writing a novel, and that kind of fizzled off. I don't think I can write anything really long right now.
Hmm.
I spent last summer doing the new edition of music composition for dummies, so I got that written and done. I don't know. I'm just trying to write a lot of short stuff right now. Just kind of drifting.
Yeah, I think the pandemic sort of lends itself to that. Um, you know, just hopefully all of this passes as soon as humanly possible. But
Yes.
what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop talking here and I'm going to have you read a few poems, maybe like 3, and then I'll ask you a
Okay.
few more questions.
Okay. Let's see. Okay, I have to put my glasses on because otherwise I can't see anything. I tried printing these up at 16 points and I'm still blind. So
I've got bifocals. I understand.
oh, okay. This one is called Lucky Wall. Sometimes the lake freezes so quickly that you can cut a block out of the ice and find a fish poised as if still swimming, frozen in the center of it. I always think of these as lucky blocks, because what else can you call a block of ice with a fish frozen in it? When you make a wall out of ice blocks for an ice fort or for hiding behind for snowball fights, and there's that fish swimming inside of one of them, that's a lucky wall. It's a damn lucky wall. There's no other name for it. I'm writing a lot of really deep stuff lately. Poetry. If you were to print out all of the poems written by bored astronauts, they would circle the world in a ring of 8 by 10 sheets of paper, a ring that grows wider with each subsequent mission, filled with loquacious thoughts on the nature of the universe, the way volcanoes and forest fires look from space, comparisons between the world patterns of hurricanes, and the continual storms on Saturn and Venus. Eventually, this hypothetical ring of poetry would grow wide enough to completely envelope the planet, block out the sun, the moon, and the stars. And something would have to be done about all of that poetry because that's just too many damn poems. This is called To My Daughter. If you hide behind a tree long enough, you will disappear into its bark and be pulled in by numerous branching twigs and fronds and become part of the tree. When I tell you to come in at night, this is why. Because I don't want you to be eaten by a tree, and I see your feet poking out from behind that one, so I know that's where you are. Nobody ever taught me how to be a mother. I didn't really have a mother myself. I just had a woman who collected mushrooms and dead birds when we went on hikes. She left her pockets so full of detritus that if you were to borrow one of her sweaters, your hands would be covered in maggots and feathers and dirt. She couldn't cook. She bought more books than food. Everything I learned about parenting came from her, from watching the cats that lived under our house. If you get up early enough, I'll pack us a lunch, and we'll go out to the park and watch the ducks sleeping on the lake. I can tell you everything you'd ever want to know about squirrels and waterfowl, spiders and planetary orbits, but don't ask me how to fix your hair for school, and don't imagine I'll ever get the laundry done on time, or that just because I made breakfast today, I'll remember to do it tomorrow, because these just aren't the things I think about.
Wow.
Should I read one more?
Sure, sure.
The click in the dark. Everything you say is being recorded. Every whisper, every sigh, every pornographic gurgle is being analyzed by a man or a woman sitting at a desk thousands of miles away. They just sit there and listen. There's a woman listening to you cry into your pillow late at night, sitting quietly at her station. She's been told she can only listen no matter how much she wants to offer you words of comfort. Through the television in the corner of your room, through the smart home receiver, through the telephone. She has to just sit there and listen, and she can only make up her own stories for while you're crying. Still, she hits the record button on her computer, catalogs this night for future reference, makes a note to link your tears to other happenings in your house. Everything you do is being recorded. Every insult, every fight, every fist slammed into the wall, every slammed door. In a perfect world, no one would know why you walk around with such a haunted look in your eyes, why you find such solace in the quiet gardening, nails black with dirt. But those days are gone. It's all in the file.
That's awesome. Thank you. I had some other questions that I wanted to ask you, but since we're here together and you and I have talked about Ray Patrick, wanted to ask you, like, creatively, like, was Ray at any time an influence on your work? And if so, like, how so? And could you talk about him a little bit? Because there are a few people from Toledo here, but sadly, like, I don't feel enough people know his work at all.
Oh, I have a couple of Ray's books. Ray was okay, this is how I met Ray. This is a great story. So I used to work at this bar in Ybor City where they had like poetry and live music and stuff like that play. And he was a customer there. He hung out a lot, but we never really talked to each other that much. And then one day when I was riding my bicycle to work, I got hit by a car. And it was like this car slammed into me. I went flying over the handlebars, crashed into the sidewalk. Luckily, it landed on my head, so I was okay. But I got up and the cop told me that it was my fault because of basically you're in Florida, and if you're riding your bicycle in Florida, it's always your fault. So my bicycle was ruined. The cop gave me a ride to work, dumped me off at the front door, then took off and left me and my broken bicycle there. And Ray came out and he's like, "Wow, what happened to you?" And I'm like, "Oh, I'm fine. My bike's just a little messed up." He's like, "No, you got to go look in a mirror." And I went and looked in the mirror and I had this goose egg just coming out of my forehead. So he found a hat for me so that I could work my job without my boss telling me to go home with the giant goose egg on my head. And and then he gave me a ride home afterwards and gave my bike ride, or gave my bike ride back too. And just like, okay, well, I guess I'll just get rides to work from now on. Anyway, when I came to work the next day, or I guess the next week for the same poetry reading, he had a bicycle tire waiting for me. And so he helped me put it on my bike, and he gave me a ride home that night and helped me put it on my bike. And that was kind of the beginning of our friendship. He's just a great guy. And he was he wanted to explore Florida. You know, he wanted to go out and he wanted to do stuff, and nobody ever wanted to do anything. I always wanted to do stuff. So we would just drive all over the place to, like, I mean, we'd hang up to like 5, 6 o'clock in the morning, like going to Cyprus and places like that, and hanging out at 24-hour Greek places and things. And it's like, I didn't know anybody else who wanted to go and explore and do things either. So it was really cool. And he used to come to the poetry readings all the time, and he'd do readings and stuff there. And yeah, he was a great friend.
Yeah, you're so lucky to have like the memories of those car rides.
He would just go and go. He was like one of those people where he was waiting for you to say, okay, let's stop. I'm tired. I want to go home now. And that wasn't me. I was always waiting for him to say, nah, I'm tired. Let's call it a night. And it's like, we just like, well, it looks like the sun's coming up. One of us has to work tomorrow, right? Or you got class? I'm like, yeah, I guess I got to go to class. So
It's pretty awesome. Yeah, I wish more people knew about him. I've been in the process. I'm trying to set up a prize in his name to go along with the one journal that I co-edit, but what I need is to get access to like a little bit more of his work, because I want to feature some of that when I do that. So I don't know, maybe I can get a few more people interested.
yeah, I know. I don't know how much. I knew he had journals that he'd had stuff published in. I don't remember what ones they were.
Yeah, he did. When after I moved to Toledo, he did a chapbook that I used to have, but I wish I could find it. It seems to have gone missing.
Oh, I probably have. I know I have at least one of his chapbooks.
That's cool. I might have to bother you for copies.
Yeah.
So,
No, that would be easy.
well, let me get back to me talking to you about you, which is I wanted to ask, like, you've lived in Minnesota for a long time now. Do you consider yourself a Minnesota poet? Like, is that landscape impacted you?
I mean, yeah, as much as anyone can be a Minnesota poet. Terry, who's on here, or he just left.
He's been in and out. He's been in and out.
Yeah, yeah, I don't. This is one of those places where if you haven't lived here forever, you're still an immigrant. So even though I've been here for like 25 years and have written 6 books about Minnesota and worked in like on almost every newspaper in town, I'm still not a local writer. So, but yeah, it's like we're surrounded. I mean, the changing seasons are fantastic and all of that. So I write a lot about like the way the weather changes and stuff, because it's like it's like living in 2 different worlds. The difference between summer and winter is insane. It's totally changed. I mean, it's you don't even recognize landmarks anymore when you go from one spot to another. It's changed so much. So I write about weather a lot. People always joke about how people from Minnesota only talk about weather, and it's not because we don't want to offend anyone. It's just that weather is really exciting.
I could see that.
I mean, it's death-defying sometimes.
Well, I wanted to ask, like, since we're publishing Bad Luck Banana, which I am really, really looking forward to, along with a few other things, could you talk a little bit about that particular chapbook? Like, that I definitely feel like the book itself, like, like there's definitely a through way, and there's a thread to all of the work. Um, could you talk a little bit about that work?
Well, I would say that it's kind of about jinxes. Do you know what a bad luck banana is?
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
I do. Yeah.
Well, should I explain it to people who don't know what bad luck?
Yeah, I would say so.
Okay, so if you're a fisherman, you're never supposed to pack a banana on your boat because it's bad luck. Is that the definition you had, or did you have a different one?
Roundabout.
Oh,
Roundabout. Yeah.
okay. Now I'm curious about your bad luck banana story. No, it's supposed to be bad luck to have a banana on your boat for some reason. It's like it's just fisherman mythology. So so yeah, the poems in the book are kind of tied up in the idea of jinxes and stuff.
Yeah, that book, once it comes out, it will not be like sold out immediately, but I suspect pretty quickly, because what we do is we send the author copies, and then the rest goes to our like yearly subscriber base. So automatically there are a lot of copies that go out into the world, which has been a really great way to do things, because a lot more people see the book in a more immediate way. So, and
Yeah,
I'm
I love the artwork that you put on it. It's super cool.
yeah, I have to say that was all Victor.
That's awesome.
Without him, the whole thing would fall apart. He really like I I have a good time helping select the work, but he is the true artist of River Dog, in my opinion. Um, so I'm gonna ask you like one more question, I think, and then I'll have you read a few more poems. Um, I was gonna ask, like, do you have, I know this is a very broad question. It's probably hard to think about after having done this for as long as you have. Um, do you have a favorite piece that you've written, or a favorite collection? Um, and if so, is it available, and where can people find it?
Oh no, I don't have a favorite piece or collection.
That's what happens when you've been doing this a really long time.
Yeah, I keep hoping that I'm gonna write something that will become my very favorite piece and be like the best thing ever. You know, it's like I'm working towards creating a piece.
No, with your productivity, probably like as soon as you write a piece, you're so far into the next one. I can totally understand that.
Well, it's kind of like an exorcism almost, you know? It's like you write something and it's like it's so involved and then it's out. And it's like, what was that about? You know? It's like,
No, and like I don't know if it's this way for you, but like 9 times out of 10 for me, whatever I feel like the piece is about, um, the person reading it tends to get their own, get their own, get something from it that's their own, and not what I had originally envisioned.
yes, that's why I don't let my husband read any of my poetry anymore.
Yeah, I used to let my mom look at my poetry, and that was never a good
Oh
idea.
no.
I my family is blissfully disinterested, so. But okay. Yeah, if you could just read a few more poems.
Okay. All right. Okay, this one's called Home Remedies. Terry, I think your mic's on.
Yeah, I'm gonna switch them off here. There we go.
Home Remedies. You can take the bind, or you can bind the crazy part of a man and hide it in a box with just a few strands of hair and some whispered words. You can bury that box in the backyard, and so long as no one ever digs that box up, they never open that box up, you can have a really happy marriage. You really can. And if that doesn't work, you can fill a glass jar to the top with iron nails, urinate over the nails, cap it tight, bury that jar in another part of the yard. And that should work. That should keep the madness at bay and ensure a happy marriage, so long as the jar stays buried and so long as no one ever digs the jar and opens it up. And if that doesn't work, you must take the man's favorite shirt, put it in an old suitcase, something he's used at least once for travel. Take the suitcase to the bus station and leave it in the locker at the station. Bury the key in the backyard, away from the jar and away from the box, someplace it'll never be found. That works. I've done that one myself and it really does work. And if none of these things make it quieter around the house, it means there's a devil in your man. And there really is nothing you can do except pack up your own things, slip out of the house in the middle of the night and run and run and run. Okay, this is called The Way the Story Ends. I took my shoes off before stepping on the grass so that it knew I didn't want to hurt it. And in turn, it would fold back over my footprints as though I'd never passed. When there was enough distance between me and the house, I threw down a comb that grew into a forest of trees, threw down a mirror that turned into a lake too wide to swim across. When the water filled with swans, I told them to tell the man who would wake and come to the bank and ask that I'd fallen into the water and drowned, and that he'd come too late. When the cock finally began to crow and the sun had come up, there was enough distance between me and my old life that not even a house built on chicken legs would be able to follow me. Not even a deer with the heart of a man would be able to catch me. Not even a wolf with a belly full of village children and old women would be able to pick up my scent. Not even an eagle would be able to fly high enough to find me, a tiny dot running against the spread of green prairie, far away on the other side of the world. And now I am as free as a girl raised by sparrows and butterflies. I am as free as a girl raised by fireflies and starlight. I am as free as my mother always said I could be.
That was so beautiful. That's my favorite.
Thank you. Okay. This is called Love. You can count on most appliances to always love you no matter what. I call it love when something is constant and reliable, like a toaster or a refrigerator or a dishwasher. And of course, sometimes even appliances can let you down, just like a lover. An igniter might need replacing. A drain can become clogged. A repairman might discover years of black mold folding behind a wall or forming behind a wall due to a gradual drip in a pipe. But at least these things can be fixed, and the cost is purely financial. And as reliable as an old appliance is, it's just lovely when a new one comes into your life. I have at times spent hours loading and unloading a new dishwasher, delighted at the sparkle of dishes fully cleaned, or turned on a new kitchen sink tap on and off and on and off and off again, all while peering under the sink with a flashlight, daring it to leak, finally giving in to the warm glow that there is no drip, there's no leak, and yet I still turn the tap on and off again, just because I can, and it's wonderful because I can. Should I read one more?
I was thinking 2 more, if you're okay with
Oh.
that.
Okay, sure. This is the X. I thought I'd try to look up an old boyfriend on Facebook just to see what he was up to. After a little bit of searching, I found him and discovered that he had become a professional photographer and had all these amazing photos and photo credits posted. This made me really happy and sad because apparently I'd totally misjudged and even been completely unaware of how talented a photographer my ex was. However, after about an hour of looking through his portfolio, I finally discovered his address. And I suddenly realized that the person I was doing all this research on wasn't my old boyfriend at all, but some guy in England with the same name, who's a few years older than my ex. The picture of him posing with his mom and a picture labeled "Me and my mother" sealed it, because it was definitely not my ex's mother. It was a different woman entirely. Let's see. This one's called Help. I imagine I'm in one of those places where the fires are raging and the little animals need my help, so I rip open my shirt and my skin and my bones and invite them to hide inside me. I imagine this is a safe place for them and something they would want to do. I don't know how to help anyone anymore. My kindness manifests in jars full of homemade and the occasional casserole. I let people hug me, but I don't know what to do. I imagine I'm in one of those places where the floodwaters are rising, and I turn myself into a boat with string and a bedsheet. I invite people and stray dogs to climb aboard and sail me out over the rooftops of submerged houses and churches. This is such a stupid and practical thought, and my hands feel useless. My life feels useless against the rise of so much need. There's a bird feeder in my yard and I fill it every day. And the birds have learned that if they tap on the window of my kitchen, I'll go out and I'll fill it again. The squirrels and the rabbits follow as I talk to flowers and check up on my vegetables. All of these things make demands I understand.
Awesome. Yeah, I wanted to ask Holly, is there a book or books that are just recent that you're promoting right now that you could talk to us about for a minute?
Oh, I don't have them next to me, but there's this one. It's The Tooth is the Largest Organ in the Human Body. This one's on NAFRA Literary Press. And then I also have the Book of Beasts, which is, and I can't remember the name of the press. That's not very smart. I could run and get them really quick.
Yeah, you can if you want to. I want to be able to put some links to books up in our chat here, and I want you to recommend a book for me to buy because I've been trying to buy a book from everyone who comes on and does this, because I really appreciate it, and I really honestly need to read more. So,
Okay, give me 2 seconds.
okay. Well, while Holly is doing that, I'm just going to remind everybody that you're listening to OAC Books Presents. Our next guest in April will be Dallas's own Paul Kanicki. And if you don't know Paul, he is a hell of a lot of fun. He's a super sweet, generous guy. And I think that's April 24th. So,
Okay, I have this one, Book of Beasts, which is out on, they don't have the press. Weasel Press, that's it.
oh, okay. I know
Yeah.
weasels. So would you recommend people pick those up through the press, or like should they go through Amazon or something like
Oh,
that?
get them through the press.
Okay.
Do you need a website address?
I
It's
could
just
prob-
weaselpress.com.
yeah, I know their website. I was gonna look up a direct link to your book on there. I'll try to do that before we end here. So.
And then I also have Bound in Ice, which this is the last one that came out. And that's Shanty Arts Publishing.
I wanted to ask you, how was your experience, because they are Missouri Press and that's where I am. How was your experience with Golden Antelope?
Oh, they're lovely. They're great. They do really, really nice work, and they did like a full edit, like page by page of the manuscript and everything.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah. And
Yeah, I can't. Yeah.
I got a couple of nice reviews from local publications. What was it, Gold, or what is it? Green Lantern, I
Oh,
think.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I cannot for the life of me remember where in Missouri they are, but I do remember that they are here.
It's like Ypsilanti or something.
Hmm.
Is
It's
that
over
in
near
Missouri?
Kirksville, ain't it, John?
What's that?
Is it over near Kirksville?
Yeah, as I recall, it is somewhere near Kirksville, but it's a little town and I can't quite remember the name of it.
No, they're a great press. They do really, really good work.
That's awesome. Well, I hope I was on their site at one point, and I hope the pandemic has been treating them as well as it can, because we need as many outlets as possible, maybe more now than ever. So
Yeah, I know. This is the problem. It's like I keep wanting to put together new stories come out in the past year, and I just want to do book events and stuff, but you know, we're stuck at home.
Yeah, it's not only that, like, and I'm sure Victor will attest. I mean, it's been mentally sort of hellish. At a point, I was giving like close to 100 readings a year, and to go from that to just being home is difficult.
Yeah, and it takes the fun out of wanting to put more book manuscripts together to send out and stuff too, because it's like, well, my office is already full of copies of books.
Yeah, the one plus I'll say is that I think, you know, maybe it's me or maybe it's everybody. I think that people are buying more books than they were prior. So
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah.
just hope that continues. But um, all right.
I'm about ready to get a rental car and pack the trunk with poetry books and drive across the country and just pull up by the side of the road with a big cardboard sign saying poetry for sale and pop the trunk open and stand by the side of the road reading.
Hey, well, if you do that, stop by and see me because I'll put together a reading for you, either indoors or outdoors. Out here, living in the country, putting together an outdoor reading would not be difficult.
Yeah, that sounds like fun.
Yeah, it's this is one of the most I've lived a lot of places, and this is, if you haven't been to this region, it's one of the most beautiful places. I think
I
I've ever
spent a
been.
lot of time in Ozark when I was a kid. I don't know if it's anything like that.
Um, yeah, yeah, it's very very similar. Um, but all right. Well, I don't have a ton more questions, so what I'm gonna do is just ask you to read a single poem just to close out. And then I'm going to have everyone turn off their mics after that. And we'll just let everyone talk to each other, which is so nice. And while I have her trapped here, I will ask Carrie to talk to me afterward about coming onto the podcast maybe in like 2 months from now. So, but Holly, I will leave it to you for poem.
Okay. I don't have a title for this one. I just wrote it a couple of days ago. Okay. Just in case the toaster is listening, I say good morning to it when I enter the kitchen. I put 2 slices of bread in it for my breakfast, and I say thank you because it's not polite to ask someone to do something for you as sacred as food preparation without offering a thank you in return. The television turns on by itself when I enter the living room. The channel turned to some religious channel I'm not familiar with. I guess this means I should take up religion. I should sit and pay attention to what the man on TV says. He says I'm a sinner and I'm not thankful enough for what I have, and I agree. But I just wish he wouldn't shout so much this early in the morning. I get dressed for work and show up on time because that's what I'm supposed to do. And my boss pokes his head in the doorway and tells me I've got a great attitude. He wishes more people were like me. But then I hear him give the exact same compliment 2 or 3 times down the hall, probably something he learned at a training seminar. But I like compliments anyway, so I don't say anything about it. I just put those thoughts away. The television turns on when I come back home. It does this on its own because I'm supposed to sit and watch television when I come home from work. I'm supposed to relax and watch TV after a hard day's work. I oblige my house by taking my shoes off at the door so I don't make the carpet dirty. I stretch out on the sofa, not off to sleep, to a man talking about the world outside, about horrible things happening in a place I will never see. Sometimes I wish I had a cat or a dog to sleep with, something small that would fit just so in my arms. But honestly, I wouldn't know how to care for anything like that.
Nice. And with that, I'm going to have everyone turn off their mics. And I'll just say, Bob Phillips, it's good to see you. Like, it's nice. I think it's the first time Bob's come on here a lot of times, and his camera is looking good. That's really clear. But hey, Victor, you there?
Yeah, I'm here, Johnny.
That's cool. I'm just gonna, yeah, everyone can talk to each other. I want to talk to Steve too about coming on here. I'm thinking in the month of June, Steve, if you're available, we can
Yeah.
look at the calendar.
Mm-hmm. Wait, where do I buy that Bad Luck Banana book?
Yeah, I meant to actually pick up the Bad Luck Banana book, which is why I brought it over to me. This is really proud of how this little book turned out. And people, the primary way for people to get the book will be through Holly, because we will make sure that she has plenty of copies, or through Riverdog. And how Riverdog operates is that we take subscribers for $20 a year or $25 if you're overseas, and you get everything that we produce, which tends to work out to about 10 or so books a year. We do them almost monthly.
For 25 bucks?
For $20. Yeah, it basically just it covers the printing and the ink, and that's it. I mean, and that's all we're trying to do. So
Mm-hmm. And is there a way to PayPal that to you, or how do you get that money to you?
yeah, you can PayPal it to us. You could PayPal it to me, or PayPal it to our direct account, which I can message you or put in the chat right now.
Yeah, go ahead and be awesome.
Let me do that.
So what's everybody got planned for the weekend?
Just relaxing.
I actually have to be on a podcast tomorrow with a set builder that works for Netflix. We're going to do a podcast that relates to design and how that impacts the cost of film production. So that'll be interesting. All right. Okay, Steve, it's in the chat.
Got it. Thanks.
And yeah, Steve has a new book out through Main Street Rag, and so.
Oh, that's a great press. Oh yeah, that's right. I had a book out by them too. Not for a few years.
I love that you don't remember, Holly, because I lose track. I lose track too.
I can't remember. Yeah. If it's not here at everything is getting sucked towards my desk. I've spent so much time sitting here anymore. If it's not like right here within grasp, it doesn't exist.
Yeah, I'm just my studio is a series of just piles everywhere, but it's all books.
Yeah. Well, books aren't really they're not a mess. That's how they're supposed to be.
No, yeah, it's not dirty. It's just clutter, but it's good clutter.
Yeah. My goal in life is to make my office so uncomfortable that nobody else wants to come in here. This is my fortress against everybody. I mean, I have been in quarantine for a year and plus with a 17-year-old. So who just broke her phone yesterday.
I've got one of those.
Yeah.
17-year-olds.
Yeah, it's just been, I feel so, it's like you can't be anything but sorry, because I know when I was 17, there's no way I would have hung out with my mom nearly as much as my daughters had to hang out with me. It's unnatural.
Oh man. Yeah, my house during the pandemic has just become a leaning tower of cardboard because I've been ordering all of my food on Amazon. And thankfully, my friend Tony came and got most of it the other day, but it's piling up again.
Yeah, I tried to do some paper mache projects with all of the bags that the food comes in, but it's like, how much paper mache can you do? I mean, really, it's like, it made like a couple of little things, and then it's like, but there's still so many bags.
Well, hopefully the people 100 years from now don't have to go through this all over again, or hell, like 10 years from now, the way we're going. So
Yeah. Well, maybe they'll all be in space.
that would be cool. Who doesn't want to be in space?
I mean, this is practically like being in space anyway.
Yeah, it sort of is.
Yeah. No, I mean, I hope people don't have to go through this 100 years from now either, but that's also a really long time from now, so I'm not going to worry about it.
Yeah, well, it's true. Well, while I am here, I'm gonna look for a link to one of your books, and I'm gonna put that in the chat here.
Yeah, I don't know. I always assume that it's better to buy from the publisher than to buy from like Amazon and stuff. So
Well, either way, the publisher will get something, and I
yeah,
just put a link up for people.
yeah, I can't remember the name of well, um, there was some press that I had some stuff on a few years ago that you could only get the books through Amazon because the website just said, these are the books we carry, but there was no way you could buy them from the site. So I guess some of the publishers are like that.
Holly, have you ever had a bad experience with the press? Someone that you would, to warn people away from, or,
Like not so much poetry, but from like nonfiction, because I write a lot of nonfiction too. So Backbeat Books is a pain in the ass to work with. They really are. You wouldn't think so because they put so many cool books out. Originally, if you'd asked me that 15 years ago, I would say never do anything for the Dummy series because they just abuse their writers. They just yell at them and just treat them like crap. But then the royalty payments are so good that it's like, well, that's okay. I get to live on the money, so I guess it was worth the abuse. But I don't know, poetry community. I mean, I would say everybody is really nice. So I can't think of any press that I would really. I can't remember their name now. There's a couple of presses that I think I'm contractually obligated not to say anything bad about.
Yeah, I suppose this is being recorded. It's probably a bad time to ask.
I can't remember the name anyway, but let me just say that if a press tells you that you're supposed to spend $18 a copy for your poetry book, don't do it.
No.
Yeah, there was also press that's still around that I will not name that used to make people sign over the rights to their poems for whatever that is worth. Like, I don't know what they financially think they're going to get, but
Yeah.
I put it for everyone. I put a link to one of Holly's books in the chat. It was the first one I could find that is still, they have plenty of copies of. So if anyone's interested, I will also say you can also track Holly down on Facebook, and in the interest of her actually getting the money, I would suggest doing that. So.
And I'm always on Facebook. I never go off. I'm always there.
You are. I live on there too.
I mean, I work at it's my coffee tape or my coffee break basically is going on Facebook because I'm stuck at my desk working anyway. So that's my coming to the water cooler.
Yeah.
Let's see, Holly. Where was that where you met Ray in Tampa?
When was it? That was like 93?
That was in the Tampa area?
Yeah, it's in Tampa.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I knew Ray for over 45 years.
Were you in the band with him?
No.
Oh.
No, I only Ray.
Yeah.
It's a pleasure to hear you read.
Yeah, I think the last reading I saw him out, he was opening for Peter Menke, I think. And I'm sure I'm not saying his name right. Is it Menke? He's like one of the bigger writers. And that was right before I left Tampa. Yeah, we stayed in touch for well, I mean, I reconnected with him on Facebook like right before he passed away. So that was nice. But yeah. One of those people that I always thought I'd get to see again and it didn't.
I assume he read your poem.
I'm sorry, what?
Did he read your poem?
Oh yeah, he read lots of my poems.
No, your poem.
Oh, my poem. I see. Oh yeah, he did a tarot card reading for me too. And
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, he was, I don't know, he was still running the psychic hotline number in Tampa for a little while too.
That's Ray.
That guy always had a scam. We go to yard sales and he'd like see this stuff and he's like, okay, this is junk and this I can probably resell for like $100. And then we just fill the car up with junk. And he had just the greatest eye for things.
Yeah, I used to go to the huge antique deal in Shipshewana, Indiana, and he definitely had a good eye. He'd come back with a load, and next day it'd all be sold.
Yep.
You know, he knew just
Yeah, I think the
what
best,
to do and who wanted what. And,
I'm about 40 minutes from there, Shipshewana.
one of the best ones was when they were digging up telephone poles in Tampa and they were replacing with underground wire or no, it's the electrical poles. So he was going out and collecting the little glass transformers, which he could sell for like $100-200 a piece. And he just had a carload of these little glass transformers that they were just burying in the ground. So he had his trunk full of those. But it's like like I said, he had an amazing eye for that stuff.
So that's a great story. I wouldn't that's another thing that I wouldn't even begin to know what you do with a bunch of glass transformers, but
Yeah, I don't know what he did with them. He had a buyer for them.
of course he did. Oh man. But all right. Well, since we're getting quiet here, if people want to keep talking, we can, or I can just shut this down for the evening because I know it's getting later on East Coast time for everyone. But I drank some energy drinks today, so I'm good to stay as long as people want to.
Yeah. My husband just came home and I hear him stomping around upstairs. So, so I might have to make sure that he eats real food.
Okay. Well, all right. Well, with that, then I guess I will just say goodnight to everyone and say that I hope to see you all again in April when Paul Kanicki will be on. He's a madman. He's my favorite person in Dallas, and it will surely be a good time. And if you haven't picked up one of Holly's books, I would suggest doing that. But at this point, you don't need me to vouch for that. So, and I will just close with giving a thanks to both Holly and Osage Arts Community. And if anyone is considering doing a residency with their poetry, this is a good place to do it. And if you want more info on that, you can send me a message on Facebook. Thanks, everybody. This has been awesome. Really
Thank you.
appreciate all of
Thank
you
you
Thanks.
so much.
Everybody.
Steve, what's
Enjoyed
that,
your
Bob?
stuff, Holly.
I'm sorry, what was that?
I just said I enjoyed your stuff.
Oh, thank you.
And Steve, Carrie, I will shoot you both a message tonight about doing this if you're interested in it. I would love to have you both. And I just appreciate everybody. Thank you so much. All right, I'm gonna shut this down. Have a good night, everybody.
Bye. Good night.
Later.
Yeah.
See you, Holly.
Bye-bye.
Hey man, how do you think it went?
No, it went good. It did. Yeah, it was great to hear Holly read. Her stuff's great.
Yeah, it actually was. It was a good time for me too. It was more relaxed than I typically am. I stress myself out about this too much. But
Yeah. So what you got